And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
I'll alert the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Welcome to Boots and Whiskey Podcast 2.0. We've been talking about it a lot on social and stuff, but this is the first episode of our new format, and we couldn't pick a better person than Casper McWade to kick us off. What we're trying to do is we're gonna kind of give it to the industry a little bit, where there's gonna be no holds. So, like, if we think something sucks, we're gonna say it. We have no problem talking about shit on the podcast side of it. So we're gonna bring that into the social media, the TikToks, the whole thing. So we hope you enjoy that. We do have new merch coming. We just spent a long weekend over at Ocean City, Maryland for Country Calling. I'll have a whole write-up about that coming out soon. Yeah, so a lot of things coming, a lot of things going on. We are back to the 9 to 5 today as you're watching this, so things might slow down a little bit. Yesterday I spent the day pretty much in bed, exhausted. But yeah, so cool shit's happening. I know it's not country music related, but last night we saw Matt Rife do a crowd work special, if you will, at the Comedy Connector in Providence. Great time, had a blast. And yeah, so that's it. That's everything going on. Casper's got a show coming up this Friday at the Majestic in Fort Smith, Arkansas. If you're in the area, especially if you're in the area for Peacemaker Festival this weekend, check that out on Friday. And then Peacemaker he'll be at this weekend. So check it out. Big thank you, Casper, for being here, and we hope you enjoy the show, guys. Cheers. First and foremost, thanks for being here and getting up early on a Monday morning, and I appreciate it.
I've got the liquid courage.
There you go. I don't know what you've been told about the way we do this show, but we're just gonna shoot the shit.
Yeah, I'm good with it, man.
We by the time this comes out, we will have announced that we have kind of gone 2.0 with this whole thing, where we're all done tiptoeing around the Nashville scene and not giving our opinions about shit. So yeah, we're gonna start talking a lot of shit. I think.
I'm good with it.
And all that. So I'm gonna throw this to you. Tell us about you. How did you get into this whole thing? Why are you doing this?
Oh man, well, it goes way back. Like it does with a lot of us from my area, especially. It started in church with grandma. It always does. And singing with grandma. Grandma used to write. She used to write gospel tunes and whatnot. And so I've been around music my whole life. And of course, she was a big fan of the old country and western stuff. The Bob Wills kind of stuff, and that. And I was raised with, we listened to a lot of traditional Irish, like the Dubliners and Clancy's and all that stuff. So that's where a lot of it comes from. But, I got a little bit older. I would have started touring a lot younger, but I had kids, and I was like, yeah, I couldn't in good conscience be gone for months at a time with young ones at home.
Yeah.
And so I waited a little bit later in life to get going with that, but and then of course, I met my good friend Jamie Richards. He used to live in Oklahoma. He lives in Texas now, but he's a legend in Texas, man, and everybody loves him. He's one of the best songwriters I know. And he came to a show one time. I was playing at the VFW in Shawnee, Oklahoma. And I was just playing my songs for the veterans for tips, and so he showed up and he said, man, you got a future in this if you'll get out and do it. And he started dragging me around Texas with him, let me open the shows for him. And we ended up writing a bunch of shit together, and he and I collaborated on my song Whiskey, which of course Cody Jinks cut later on, it kind of gave me a boost in my career a bit there. So, but yeah, and then here we are today.
That's awesome. I want to go back to something because you just touched on something that surprisingly not a lot of people talk about, and I don't understand why. And that's that influence of the Irish music, right? Like
Oh yeah,
I I live outside of Boston, right? So like everything, I might as well live in fucking Ireland, right? And growing up and even as an adult, like that's all you heard, especially around here.
right. Yeah, it was a
And
little bit. It was a little bit more. Uh, a little bit less. I'm Central Oklahoma,
right,
so there's the Irish immigrant population is a bit less here than, of course,
yeah,
Boston or New York.
right. But it's so funny because it's like I think about it now and I listen back to it, and you know, you listen to Irish music and Irish folk music and stuff like that. Like that is country music.
Oh,
Like
it's exactly. Yeah, I've been saying that all of the Celtic influences, Irish and Scottish, and and even the Welsh and the British, even if you want to go that far, that's where all country music comes from. They came over here, or they brought all their banjos and all that shit, and they moved into the fucking mountains,
yeah,
and then that's where your hillbillies, and then that hillbilly music turned into country music,
right.
and that's
And
exactly. I mean, you're one of the few people that have nailed it right off the bat, because I say the exact same thing. It's like, there would be no country music without Irish folk music.
right, right. And it's just so funny that it's not talked about as much as it should be. It's
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a damn shame that it's not talked about as it should be. That style of music should absolutely be part of the Country Music Hall of Fame. Even, I mean,
yeah,
it should be the start. You know, these guys
right.
give everybody. Even Bob Wills with country and western and swing and all of these different things. All of that shit. It's all derived from Celtic music.
It really is. And I think that's, people ask me all the time, like, how is it that country music has become so popular, like up in this region of the country, And I think I haven't thought about it until right now, and I think that's why it's got to be,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
absolutely. I mean, it's a kindred spirit, man.
Yeah,
You hear it even today. You get the banjos and the mandolins, and you're like, shit, I've heard this my whole life, and you don't
right,
realize you had until then it's easy to tap a toe to, because you've heard this shit forever.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it's very familiar.
Yeah, even like, yeah. I'm really glad we're having this conversation because it's making me really kind of like look at it a different way that I've always thought about and known that was there, but nobody's ever talked about
Right. Yeah, and it's a shame that it takes somebody from Podunk, Oklahoma, to bring it up.
it. Right, right, right. No, so when you're growing up and doing the whole thing and all that, was this ever a thought or a dream or an idea to do this for eventually do this?
Not really. I thought that I would really just stay with. I used to do landscape paintings when I was younger. My grandmother on my father's side, uh, little fiery redhead alcoholic, was an amazing oil painter, and I was good at it too. Come to find out, so I thought maybe that's the path I'd have taken. But she passed away when I was 13, and so I just kind of went a different way. And then I'd always sang along, with my grandmother on my mother's side, and and both sides really were musical. But that was like the farthest thing from my thoughts. I was like, I'm not doing this. Uh, I'm not. I've seen. I had an uncle on my grandfather's side on my mother's, and he was a kind of the family failure, I guess. But he was great. He was a fantastic songwriter. But everybody was very religious, and he was like the black sheep 100%, because he's out drinking and whoring and doing all the things that you'd think comes with the territory. And so I didn't want to be looked at like him in the family.
Sure.
But then come to find out he was probably the coolest motherfucker in the whole family.
Right. He had it figured out.
But yeah, I stayed away from it till I hit my late teens, and then kind of started getting into it a little bit more.
Nice.
I started with poetry, just getting shit off. Couldn't afford therapy. We were, what you would think a poor white trash from Oklahoma would be. You know, couldn't
Yeah.
afford that shit. So writing it down and getting it out was the way to do it. And then I started learning to play guitar, and it was over. I was like, "Yep, this is what I do. Like this is who I am and what I
Yeah.
do."
Now let me ask you this, right? Because this is where the ignorance is gonna come in, right? What is Oklahoma like? Like
Uh,
I know New England, right? That's it. I've been to
well, I
Nashville,
mean,
I've
it's
been up and down the East Coast, but like I don't know anything about the Midwest.
Oklahoma is very much wide open and flat. The highways and road systems are a very square grid, and we still live in teepees. And no, we don't. No, it's like any other city, really. I mean, I'm out in the country. I'm away from everybody. I don't like people,
Yeah.
and so I live out in a little town called Little, Oklahoma. We've been here forever. My mother's maiden name is Little. We've been here forever,
Wow.
and Oklahoma land run and all that goes way back. But yeah, it's like any other place. You got the larger cities are full of meth heads, and the smaller places are full of country boys, and that whole spiel. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's other than that, it's just there's nothing to look at. It's just wide open. It's cow shit
Weird.
and grids. That's about
Now,
it. You get down
like
to
I
southern Oklahoma, the lower points of southern Oklahoma have nice big hills and much nicer terrain. But where I'm at, you can see literally for miles.
now like
There's a
I
yeah.
think about it and I'm like, Oklahoma must just be dirt and dust and that's it. Now am I off?
You're off a little bit. I mean, some parts of Oklahoma are kind of like that, but I
Yeah.
mean, but it's very, very small pieces. And it's a lot of tornadoes. We get tornadoes every year. I mean,
Yeah.
they call it Tornado Alley for a reason.
Yeah.
We get a lot of natural disaster kind of bullshit. And people ask, why the hell do you stay there? Well, it's cheap.
Right. So
Insurance pays well.
right. Now, when it comes to cities like Tulsa and Oklahoma City and stuff like that, like what is the big difference? Like when it comes to even just the music scene?
The music scene in Tulsa, there's really not one in Oklahoma City. I mean, it's Tulsa kind of is the scene.
Yeah.
But I mean, Oklahoma City has its clubs that are notable, but no real. Oklahoma is terrible uh, for support. The people don't really get out and support. We drive 2.5 hours to go to Texas and play and pack the house, and there's hundreds of people lining up out the door. You go to Oklahoma City or even Tulsa, and they only want to come and see you if you've already made it. If you're
Really?
already a big name, yeah. I was like, they kind of look at you like you're shit if you ain't on the radio.
No
Like, I'm
shit.
not gonna pay. I'm not gonna pay $5 to see this guy who's never had a radio hit. Like, like you realize the guys that have radio hits only got them because somebody paid $5 to see them when they were nobody,
Right.
and then people are like, oh shit, these guys are good, and they started buying their stuff. But you can't explain that to people around here because when I made a post on social media here a while back and said something about Oklahoma produces amazing songwriters, and this
Yeah.
state does. There's more great songwriters out of Oklahoma per capita than almost any other place in the fucking world,
Right. I mean,
and and
right.
it's because nobody gives a shit about us. So we got to write. We got hardships to write about.
Right.
And then everybody else in the world's like, oh man, that guy, he's sure got a story. Well, yeah, because nobody's fucking paying him any mind.
Right.
But yeah, but that I mean then you get your Okies, your handful of friends who do get out and support, and then they get fucking butthurt, and they're like, "Hey man, what the fuck? You say Oklahoma doesn't support? I guess you don't care for." I was like, "That's not what I said. I said
Right.
nobody loves you at home. I've got 10 to 20 friends that I can count on being at everything I do, but beyond that, you've got 10 or 20 people in a room that holds 500. It's not very impressive.
Right.
And it's just it is what it is, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just trying to speak the truth.
I know I'm gonna miss people, and the people that are gonna listen to this are gonna probably go at me one way or down the other, and that's fine. But like, You think about it. You think about people from Oklahoma just off the top of the head. You get Zach Bryan, love him or hate him, right? You get Garth, again, love him or hate him. You have bands like Turnpike, love him or hate. You know what I mean? Like you have all these, like you said, you have all this amazing talent, and people that don't follow this the way you and I do, would probably think that these people come from Texas or somewhere else or from Nashville or whatever. It's
Well, yeah, and that's a great point. Zach Bryan just shattered the fucking world record for attendance. He just beat
right,
George Strait,
right,
and he's from Oologah, Oklahoma, right up the fucking road from me. I ride motorcycles with his dad on occasion. He's just a small town kid, and I mean, whether you like him or not, I don't give a shit if you like him or not. I think what he's accomplished is amazing. His,
right.
his story is not that far from mine. And so it's great to see that. Garth, I was always a big fan. I still am a big fan of Garth Brooks. I
Yeah,
don't care if anybody likes him or not. I do.
same.
I think that his shit was fucking good, and you can't fade the fact that the dude was one of the biggest of all time.
Right,
Now it's kind of cliche to give a shit about Garth Brooks. Well, you know, fuck them
right.
if they don't
Yeah,
like it.
I'm with
They
you.
don't have to listen. They can
Right,
scroll on past if they don't like it.
exactly.
Turnpike, I know those guys. I know those guys personally, and I think they're probably one of the best bands to come out of Oklahoma ever.
Ever.
As
Right.
far as a band, and Evan's songwriting is great. Of course, he's a fucking train wreck, but I guess he's getting better now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's funny you say that because we've been talking to Stacy quite a bit to get her to come on, and like I'll tell people that I know in the realm in the area, they're like, you might have to be careful and tiptoe. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not fucking tiptoeing shit.
yeah. No, I that's one thing I don't do, and that's it doesn't gain you very many friends. I've got
No,
big
absolutely
time
not.
friends in the industry that won't answer my phone calls anymore because they're afraid I'm going to say the truth.
Right,
And but that's one of the things I have always said. I will not bend it to hurt, just to save somebody's feelings. I'm not going to intentionally hurt them either,
no,
but I mean, if the truth is the truth, and you don't want me to tell you the fucking sky is green. Well, if it's green that fucking day, that's what I'm going to tell you.
right, right. Yeah,
The sky ain't green. Well, you ever seen the Northern Lights? It was green that day.
right. It's funny that you said that about Evan because it's like, now that their Turnpike is like back in full force and stuff, it's amazing how many people forget, what transpired, right?
Yeah, what a fucking wreck he was after Miranda.
Yeah,
They, yeah, they don't fucking I mean, those of us here in Oklahoma, we remember quite well. It gets brought up.
I'm
Like,
sure.
oh yeah, you remember that time when Evan Felker was too drunk to fucking do this? I was like, yeah, I do remember it. And I said, I'm sure it's not his most shining moment, but
No,
you remember that time when he came back and sold out every fucking place he played? Yeah,
right,
that's the cool shit.
right, and
And God bless
that's
him.
right, exactly, and that's a testament to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have done that. Where
Oh yeah.
I mean, think about it. George Jones didn't show up for most of his concerts for 10 years. You know,
Well, and it's part of the game. You get out there, you get worn too fucking thin, or you get heartbroken just like any other person.
yep,
But you fuck up in front of thousands of people. Those other people fuck up at home.
right,
It's just
right.
it is what it is. Yeah, when you got a camera in your face all the time, there's nothing. Every little thing you do is micro analyzed.
Yeah, yeah. You think about it. It's like imagine if George Jones would have lived in the age of social media, right?
Oh
And
goddamn.
right, like,
He would have destroyed himself right out the gate.
right, right. I mean, it would have been entertaining, that's for sure.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah. Well, it's like I mean, same thing with Evan. Like watching my buddy Brian Martin, watching him fuck
yeah,
himself off here and there, and then come back and then fuck up real good, and then come back and do an apology on social media, and people are like, "Oh man, he's going to end his career." I said, "No, he's not. He just keeps getting more and more followers because
right,
everybody loves a shit show,
right, right.
and
And like, and that's the
that's
same thing with
exactly what it
Zach.
is."
The same exact thing
Yeah.
with Zach. It's
Although I got to say, a shining Okie moment I don't know that I smiled as big as I ever have as when I seen him go over the fence after Gavin Adcock.
Oh yeah,
I
and you
was
know
like,
what?
yes.
I had put it out on TikTok that weekend when it came out, where it's like, everybody makes such a big deal about Gavin Adcock, and I just don't get it. I don't think his songs are very good, and two,
I think his songs are shit. I
they
think he's a
are.
fucking poser.
I do
And
too.
I think he's a cosplay cowboy. I don't think
Yeah.
he's and I'll probably get some flack for saying that, but I don't give a
No.
shit. You
No.
know, I he's part of what's wrong with the industry
I agree.
is I want to see him sit down with an acoustic guitar and sing me an original song that can tear my heart out. I
Right.
don't
He
believe he
can't.
can do it.
I don't think so either. I really don't. He's one. He is like a walking keyboard warrior.
Absolutely.
You know.
And I was so damn proud of Zachary when he went over that fucking fence and shut that dude up real quick. He
Yeah.
was talking all that shit, boy. It's sure funny how fast his heels turned as soon as Zach got over that fence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
like.
my money was on Zach to begin with. He's a fucking Navy brat. And
Yeah.
he ain't got no backup in him. So
No.
I was like, all right, cool. I was like, no matter what you think of him or his music, he ain't gonna back down.
It's funny to me, like people that are outside of the industry, and they're like, oh, things will come out and all that shit, and they're like, oh, Zach's such a piece of shit, blah 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 blah. It's like Zach's been telling us he's a piece of shit for the last 10 years in his music. Like, why?
I was about to
I
say, do you not listen to his songs?
right, right, like, it,
I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the biggest fan. His kind of music is not really my cup of tea. But as far he's got some great songs. He's got shit that I won't turn when it comes on.
yeah,
But he's more my kids' crowd.
yeah,
My daughter listens to him all the damn time, and it, like I said, nothing personal. It's just not
no,
my. It doesn't ring my bell. I like the older style. Give me the '90s and before when
yeah,
it comes to
absolutely.
country music.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of that, right now we've had Cody Jinks on here, and we've had Ward Davis, and the list goes on. I still don't know how I got all that shit, but whatever. It is what it is. How did you get into? How did your songs get to Cody Jinks?
Man, he and I were putting songs before he was Cody fucking Jinks.
Yeah,
I put out Whiskey in Texas radio the same time he put out Hippies and Cowboys before he got picked up and did all the stuff he did with that song before that song blew up. And so, we were running that same market. And fast forward a good while, and he was playing Tulsa, and we hadn't been in touch in a long time. And a mutual friend of ours reached out, and because I didn't have Cody's number at the time, and said, "Hey man, Casper's down the road." He said, "Fuck, give him my number. Tell him come up here." And so the wife and I went up and hung out with him, and then after he did his big sold out show right up a couple blocks up the road, he just moseyed his skinny little self right down the fucking road to my gig and jumped up on stage with us and played some songs with us. And I was like, it's still the same old dude. So
that's awesome.
and yeah, it was great, man. And his manager at the time, uh, I guess, started listening to some of my stuff and told Cody, "Hey man, you got to cut that song Whiskey. That's a fucking great song." And he said, "Man, my manager thinks that's a great song." I said, "Your manager's a smart guy. I think it's a great song too." but yeah, I got the phone call right before my birthday. Uh, hey buddy, your song's on the number one selling record across all genres, all charts, Billboard, everything. I was like, what? Fuck. I was on
Damn.
tour in West Virginia, so I had to pull off the side of the mountain and sit there and have what we call a big guy cry. I was like,
Yeah.
motherfucker, this changes everything.
Yeah.
I was like,
Now, now, do you
that
do
was
you play
that was the
do you
last time
play
I
the
played a
song?
$200 gig.
Yeah. Now, do
Yeah,
you
I
play
play
the
it. I
song in
play it
your?
every time we play.
Do you? Now, when
Mm.
you do you introduce
Shit,
this
there's
like
a handful of folks that would skin me alive if I was to fucking not play it.
right, right?
Yeah.
Now,
And I do introduce it sometimes as something that Jinx did. A lot of folks, be like, "Hey man, it's cheesy to name drop." I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. This is my
right,
accolades. This is
right,
some of the cool shit I got to do. If you don't want to hear where the song came from, what the fuck are you doing at my show anyway?
right.
you know,
Right.
and most people, and I usually crack a joke about it, you know, yeah, because I do feel kind of cheesy at times saying his fucking name, you know, it's my song, you know, but yeah, I'll be like, you know what, if you don't like my version, go check out Cody Jinks. I get paid twice that way. But yeah, yeah.
Now,
Some people crack wise about it. They're like, dude, you know, with fucking name dropping Cody Jinks. I'm like, well, he's one of the biggest selling artists of our time, and he cut one of my songs. So uh, if you want to have him cut one of your songs, get that done, and then don't say shit about it because I'm not gonna fucking hear it.
right.
I was like, oh, he's, whoa, whoa. I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. Back it on up, because if somebody
Yep.
had done the same thing for you that he did for me, you would fucking be praising him all the time, just like I do.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so yeah.
You know, it's kind of like when people ask me about, you know, like, oh, who's the biggest artist you've had, and or who's your favorite, and all this stuff, and it's like I always go back to Cody. It's like, how do you not? You know, when you
Yeah,
have
no, I mean,
somebody like that, how do you not?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Right.
It's kind of fucking dumb. Yeah. Hey, man, I met Jesus Christ, but I'm not going to tell you about it. Fuck you. Yes, you are.
Now, has any other?
Not to compare Jinx to Jesus.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there that would. Um,
Oh, there's a song idea.
yeah, write it down. I want half, Casper. No.
Jinx to Jesus.
Um, Now, what was I? Oh, have you had any other kind of like interest from other artists?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. There's some things going on that I can't even talk about, but another fella, Creed Fisher, just did one that he I sent him some stuff and he used parts of it, and he's like, "Hey man, I got to give you some credit on this." And I said, "Well, I hope so, considering it was my idea, you know."
right. He's a good dude.
And everything I've known about him, he is a pretty good guy.
Yeah. Have you ever met him?
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've known who he is for a long time. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, last
He
time
was
I
our
seen him,
first like
we
big artist that we ever had on this show,
were right on.
which was
Yeah, he.
cool.
I talked to him not too awful long ago. He was playing not too far from me. I popped in and surprised him. You know,
Yeah.
he stayed after everybody loaded out. He's sitting there in the bar with me bullshitting for a good while. The bus driver had to come and, dude, we've really got to go. And he's like, man, I got to go. We sit there for another 20 fucking minutes, bullshitting,
Yeah.
catching up. You know,
Now, for what you're doing and the songs you're writing and the stuff you're putting out, this might sound cheesy, right? But like, are you okay with where you are, or do you wish it was bigger?
of course, I'd like to get a little bit bigger, but I'm pretty content, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I get to raise my family playing my songs. You know,
that's
I've got
awesome.
to hustle a little harder than I'd like to. You know, but you know, it wouldn't hurt my feelings to jump on a big tour and do some stuff like that. You know, but I'm one of those guys that and people ask me all the time, how come you don't tour with Jinx? I said, because he hasn't asked me.
Right.
Well, ask him. Absolutely not.
Right.
I'm not
No,
going to go begging nobody for shit.
no.
And if you know, if he ever asked me to go, I probably would. I mean, it not necessarily. It would just be an added bonus. The tour would, but to get to hang out with my pals that would be the draw for that. The
Yeah,
shows would be a bonus.
yeah.
So, but yeah, because I mean, my latest record, you know, his bass player Josh is the one that's been producing a bunch of his shit. Well, Josh produced my last record,
Nice.
and so it was great to be in studio with Josh and hanging out. He's one of my favorite people, and you know, him and Jinx are thick as thieves. You know, those two are. He's the only original guy. Him and Jinx are the two OGs from the old days. The rest of them have come and gone. You know,
Yeah. You
so it's
know, and
cool. It's
that
cool to see those two still kicking.
yeah. You know, it's kind of wild to see that in this industry and how like, you know, a lot of it changes so quickly. You know, like you could see somebody this year and then see him again next year and he's got a whole different lineup, you know, behind him. You know, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. The funny thing about watching the progression of Jinx, which I mean, I don't want to spend our whole time talking about Cody fucking Jinx, you know, but the cool thing about the progression of his stage show has been that not that these other guys that played with him before were in any way lesser. It's just it's been a forward progression. It's like he's collectively getting the right parts. I won't say better. I'll say the right ones for where he's going next.
Right.
You know, when he added Jake, I was kind of skeptical when he added Jake Lintner, and I was like, man, he's a kind of a rocker, you know,
Yeah.
and which I love. I mean, I'm putting out a punk rock record. That's the next thing coming out, and then so I was a little skeptical, but then I went to a couple of shows, and I was like, no, this is perfect.
Yeah.
I was like, it beefs it up just enough where it's like on the edge, which is where he needed to be
Yeah.
to keep moving forward. Because you can't write hippies and cowboys 500 times and expect to keep selling it.
Right. Right.
You know, he's progressed and got a little bit more gritty, a little bit more rock and roll. You know, which is the right progression for what he's doing. That's why in my opinion, that's why he's so fucking. That's why he's able to keep selling out these big fucking places.
Yeah.
Is because he's keeping that energy up, getting a little bit more gritty. Not quite rock and roll, but not quite not.
Yeah. And Jake's a good dude. Like, I will praise Jake every time I can. One because he's a Massachusetts guy, and two because he's been on this show too, and like we've just become friends. He's a good dude. He's a good dude.
He's good people. Yeah,
Now let's talk
yeah,
about
he's
that.
good people.
Let's talk about that punk rock thing you're doing. Why? I mean, I have a theory on why, and
Man,
I'll let you go first.
well, it all ties into what we talked about to start this session here.
Yep.
Is you know the style of punk rock I'm doing. It isn't like gutter punk. It's not that fuck government. Blah, 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 blah. It's not that.
Yeah.
Um, it's more melodic. It's more three chords.
Yeah.
It's very much fast country music
Yeah.
with a little bit of a Celtic twist. So it's all tied in. And these are songs that I wrote a long time ago, uh, and that never got the recording they deserved. And so I was able to go and record them with my best friend who played drums for me for almost 3 decades. And so he's actually going. My birthday party's coming up in a week and a half, and we're gonna do the punk rock record.
That's
And
awesome.
so he's gonna join me on stage to do that. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be great. Well, my favorite band in the whole fucking world is a punk rock band out of Southern California called Face to Face. Fucking love them. Well, I've become good friends with the singer Trevor and the lead guitar player Dennis. As a matter of fact, on the 4th, I get to go to Pumpkin Park in L.A. with Face to Face and Bad Religion and a bunch of my heroes,
Damn.
and I get to go backstage and do the whole all access thing. Yeah, it's gonna be massive. But well, Dennis plays lead guitar on this record for me, and it was like a fucking dream come true. I was like, this all just worked out exactly, But these songs aren't. They're more. You remember the early 2000s pop punk stuff that came out?
Oh
Like
yeah.
um,
That's when I
I
was
hate
in
to
high
say like
school,
Blink
man.
182, but more. Yeah, not necessarily like Blink 182, but it's more melodic than that. There's a lot of their songs were just stupid
Yeah.
and just goofy shit, which was fun, but it was dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, my stuff's more melodic, but it's a lot of it's. I mean, it's very much distorted guitars and punk rock, but the lyrical content has meaning. It's like just like anything else you would hear me write. I can't write fiction, and I don't write stupid shit. It's usually got to have some kind of meaning. And I've written one or two funny songs that I don't feel good playing because they don't fit what I do. But I get to a little bonfire party or something like that and play one of those dumb songs, and that's the number one thing they want to hear. And I'm like, I wrote this heartfelt fucking song over here, and you want to hear something about some stupid shit.
Yeah.
It is what it is, though.
Yeah.
They want to hear a song about some tweaker chick stealing light bulbs or something.
I love that you said what you said when we started this portion, because I I have recently just started to think about it. Like, I grew up when I was in high school. It was the early 2000s, right? And so all of that punk rock music was huge, right? Like, if It just was. And I was talking to Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup, and he had put out a country album, and I kind of said to him, I was like, why the fuck would you do that? You know what I mean? And he kind of threw the idea out, and he was like, punk music is country music. And like I stopped and I thought about it and thought about some of those songs that I really loved growing up, and it was like, holy shit. You you take it down a little bit and slow it down and put an acoustic guitar behind it, and it's like those are country tunes.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the ways that I actually became friends with the guys from Face to Face is I cut one of their songs, a country version, and it's out everywhere, but it's called Velocity, and it was one of my favorite songs when I was very depressed, and that song brought me so much joy. I listened to it on repeat for hours, and it's just the message is keep your head up, never look down,
Yeah.
and uh, and so I cut a country version of it, and Trevor actually mixed it and sang backup vocals on his own fucking song,
Nice.
and I thought that was just the fucking coolest thing ever. I was like, man, I would just look at my wife sometimes, and be like, I have Trevor Keith's number in my phone. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, fucking pinch me because 20 years ago I'd have never thought it was, it was just so untouchable, unreachable. I was like, now we've been to his house and had fucking dinner and hang out, and you know, it's fucking crazy. And he's playing my birthday party
Yeah.
for fucking just because we're friends. He didn't have to do that shit. He's playing a sold out Punk in the Park with Bad Religion and fucking Pennywise and all these big bands. And he's going to turn around and drive to fucking Fort Smith, Arkansas to play my birthday because we're pals. And I was like, fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
Those moments, like those and the Jinkses and the Turnpikes and all, the steel player for, Hank from Turnpike Troubadour played on my live album, years and years ago before he
Yeah.
joined Turnpike. It was fucking, there's just so many ties in this area.
Yeah. So you playing that show in Fort Smith at the Majestic?
Yeah, it's at the Majestic on
Yeah.
October 9th, on my birthday, my actual
Yeah.
birthday.
I that's that's a bucket list venue for me for some reason. Don't ask me why. I want to get out to
Oh,
Fort Smith
it's a
so
fucking
fucking
awesome
bad.
venue.
Yeah.
That's the weekend to be there, man. That Peacemaker Festival is Friday and Saturday. My
I
birthday is a
know.
pre-party,
I know. I
and
want
so
I
yeah, so,
I had talked to Trent a few years ago about going down and doing it and trying to get a flight from here to there that made sense was like outrageously priced. So like I couldn't get down there. I couldn't do it. But like I've been talking to
yeah.
Trent a bunch, and I think we might try for next
Yeah, I played Peacemaker, kick off Peacemaker last year, and we had ourselves one hell of a big time, man. And yeah, Peacemaker's always going to have a place in my heart. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I can get on next year on the lineup over there. And probably not, considering I did it last year, and then now I'm the birthday party. It'll probably be a couple of years before I go back. But yeah, I mean, hell, I may just take the time off and just go, just be a
year.
spectator.
Yeah, because like I was looking at flights, and like for me, I would have had to go from here to like Oklahoma City, and then drive that way, and it just was like, what the fuck? Like none of this makes sense. But
Yeah. Well, it's not too bad. Oklahoma City's only 2.5 hours from
oh, okay,
Fort Smith.
that's not bad.
So yeah, my house. I'm exactly 2 hours. I mean, on the fucking nose from my front door to Peacemaker, 2 hours exactly.
Yeah,
The last couple of times I've gone, other when I was playing, when I went prior to that, I was just get on the motorcycle and I'd meet Dwayne, Zach Bryan's dad. We'd meet
yeah,
him and we'd ride motorcycles over and go terrorize the campground all weekend. That dude's a hoot, man.
yeah. That's what I
I
hear.
can't I can hardly keep up with him.
Yeah, I hear he's a cool dude to
He
be
is a
around.
fucking hoot. Dude, he's one hell of a cool hang. Just
Yeah.
fucking good people. But
So what?
he's a trained professional. I'll put it that way.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure. So when is this punk album supposed to come out now?
It was going to come out on my birthday, but the studio hadn't got me the mixes yet. So, of course, that puts production behind. I can't get it takes 4 to 6 weeks to press vinyl, and the artwork on this fucking record is ridiculous. It's I wanted to do. I was like, when I do the rock record, I want it to mimic some shit I would have seen when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Remember like the whole heavy metal artwork
Yeah.
with
Oh yeah.
fucking just badass like barbarians and shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, come on. So I commissioned a guy to do the art. That's just he's very well known. So I'm not going to spoil it until he's done with it, and then we'll announce it. But yeah, uh, very graphic. It's going to be very much high detail, very graphic, a little bit gory.
I love it.
But the name of the record is "The Curse of the Reaver," and if you know what a reaver was, and I did that because of on my mother's side, my grandfather his family were Scottish immigrants, and they were from the lowlands of Scotland, right there on the border. Their family was known as border reavers, and during the 1300s, they would cross the border into English territory, steal all their livestock, and bring it back and distribute because everybody was hungry. So they were known as the Border Reavers. They got themselves in some trouble later, and then got deported to Northern Ireland over around Ulster. And so yeah, the Curse of the Reaver was after my grandfather's side. I thought that was kind of cool little homage. You got the I don't want to spoil it.
No, no,
I get
no.
too excited about it, and I'll just tell all the damn details.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, and
Yeah, I'm
it's one of those things where you know, I love the way this conversation has gone because one, this is the way it should be all the time, and two, like I was telling you earlier with the revamp of what we're doing, this fits right, and I love that it does, and I appreciate you so much for doing it, and I'm excited for what you're doing. I've been a fan of yours for a while, and to see something different, more or less, is even more exciting.
you're coming in and out now, buddy. I'm leaving some trails here. It looks like.
Yeah,
I think the camera's trying to catch up.
yeah. It. I don't know
Yeah,
why it
I
does
only
that.
caught pieces of that last part.
Um, more or less, I'm just excited to see what you're doing next, based on what you've already done and how great what you've already done has been.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for the rock record. That doesn't mean I'm changing tracks. It just means I've wanted to put this out with a good recording for decades.
Yeah.
Now I finally get to do that. We'll put that out there to see what kind of splash it makes, if any. And I've already got a whole record full of my country stuff ready to record as well. So
Right.
and I'm taking it a step back. This last record uh, has definitely had a little bit more of the Jinx camp influence because I had Josh producing it, and me and Josh Morningstar wrote about a bunch of the songs on this one. So it's a lot of his influence, which is a Jinx influence. I mean, he's wrote a lot for Jinx.
Yeah.
But so I'm taking a step backwards and going a little bit further back to what I was doing prior. Um, a little less commercial kind of a sound and more just heartfelt shit that I wrote that means something to me. Not that this last record doesn't. I'm very proud of it, but it's a it's more radio friendly than some of the other
Yeah.
stuff I write.
It's
So
awesome.
I'm gonna back it up a little bit for it'll probably be a five song EP, I think, is what I'm gonna do, and just really concentrate on 5 tunes that I've been wanting to get recorded for a while. That you know it's beyond time to get them done. I've got some brand new tunes that I'm going to put on there, and a couple that I've already been waiting to do for a while.
Nice. Well, I'm excited for it and excited for everything you're doing. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming on and shooting the shit. And it's great to talk to people that get it, and you definitely get it. And I can't thank you enough for everything.
I lost you on that last line there, buddy, but yeah, I don't know. One of us has got a, a connection that don't like us.
Yeah.
Oh, you froze up.
Damn it. Are you there?
Are you still with me?
Yep. You there?
Oh, now you're back.
Now I'm back.
You
All right.
froze up for a cool minute there.
It's I'm telling you, it's gonna be the Wi-Fi or something around here because it's like some days, like if the wind blows the wrong way, forget it. Um, but yeah, I was just more saying that I appreciate everything you're doing, and I appreciate you being here. And anytime you want to come back and shoot the shit, I'm here for it.
Man, I appreciate you having me, brother.
Anytime, man. So tell people how to keep in contact and watch what you're doing and all that.
Yep. Signal getting worse there. I lost you on that last piece.
Fuck. It's every time. It's every time.
Oh, yeah, it says it's at 17%.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like it's going to let you back in.
Oh,
So,
hold on.
just in case, thank you so much for having me. Man, I appreciate it. Boots and Whiskey Podcast, you guys are great, man. So, thank you. And let's keep in touch. I'll let
Sounds
you know
good,
when the album
Casper.
drops.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much. Well, there you have it, everybody. Oh my God. I just turned my hat around and my sunburn is still crazy from the weekend. Holy shit. Anyway, thank you, Casper McWade, for for coming on the show today and hanging out and chilling. Just remember, guys, Friday, Majestic. It's a birthday show for him. And then this weekend over at Peacemaker. If you're going to Peacemaker, let us know how it is or how it was. And hopefully we'll see you there next year. I know we've been saying that for the last few, but if it's your first time here, welcome. If it was your millionth time here, welcome back. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And next week's a good one too, so stay tuned. Until next week, guys, be good to each other, all right? And thank you as always for being here. Cheers.